Welcome to the Powercoast Girls podcast. We're your hosts, Jess
and Domy.
We're here to bring you authentic and raw conversations about faith, relationships, and personal growth. Whether you're a believer, a curious skeptic, or somewhere in between, we're here for you.
So grab your headphones,
your coffee,
or tea,
and get ready to be empowered. Good afternoon.
Hello.
We are back.
We are back, everybody. If you're watching the video,
we look like Easter eggs.
Yeah, we're preparing for Easter, so that's why we're wearing these very springy colors.
I mean, you're sticking to your blue.
That's true. I know you needed to wear green.
I mean,
okay.
I guess yellow is a shade of green.
Okay,
this is maybe one of two things that I own that is yellow.
Oh, I guess if you mix yellow and blue, you get green. So you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's some thought put into it, guys. Thanks for figuring it out, Jess.
We are. Or I am, yes. Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a great day.
Happy Sunday.
Yes, or whatever day it is for you whenever you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a good one. You want to tell them what we're talking about today, Domy?
Yes. So we took a poll, and obviously relationships was one of the, by far.
Reoccurring. People were like wanting us to talk about relationships, so.
Which is understandable. It's a very important thing in our 20s or 30s. But yes, so today we're going to just kind of we're going to cover the top 5 red flags in guys.
Or in dating.
In dating, yes. So just to keep in mind, we are both women. And so with our experiences, obviously we're going to come at it from like a female perspective.
So yeah, if you're a guy and you're listening, actually you can apply this, honestly, if you're a guy also in your dating life, because you want to hear from a female mind and also from 2 females who try their best to live a godly lifestyle. We hope that you can benefit from this also, as well as the ladies. I'm sure the ladies are listening being like, bring on the red flags.
I have my paper, I have my notes.
Yes, take notes.
Ready? And in the future, we will cover topics
from a guy's perspective.
Exactly. So we're not planning on coming at this from just like our
bashing on guys. No.
Everything's going to be said in love.
Yes.
Backed up by scripture, obviously.
Yes.
That's our number one foundation.
Yeah.
And our only foundation. But also, like, I feel like a lot of these red flags are things from both of our experiences in dating and just, being in relationships. And
right.
We kind of have 2 different backgrounds, I would say.
We have 2 different backgrounds. Maybe this is another episode where, like, yes, me and Domy are very similar, but we also, when it comes to dating specifically, like, she's on one end and I'm on the other end. So, yes, we're both very similar, but we both took 2 different approaches when it came to that area of our life. So, if you guys want to hear more about that, we can talk about that more in detail and maybe hit that in another episode. But yeah, today we're going to talk about red flags in dating from the female perspective. And we really do hope that you guys can benefit from some of this. And also, like, we have had a lot of experiences. This is all learning. So, like, everything that we came up with, oh my gosh, we narrowed it down to 5, but y'all should y'all should have seen our list. It was so long. We're like, okay, we need to narrow this down because this is a lot.
One point, like, it was the other night, we like put on sweatpants. We're like, you know what, we need to get comfortable right now because, like, we're firing away with all of these suggestions on what to put. But yeah, no, we do bring a lot, I feel, from both perspectives, being on the end of the spectrums.
Yeah.
So yeah, these, we kind of try to compile them and some mini points here and there.
And also in our experiences, like, even recently, like, Domy's in an exclusive relationship, so she's going to probably be coming at it from more of that perspective. I'm in the dating pool. I don't know. And so, yeah, like, we're learning, we've been learning. And so we're just passing on some advice, especially for girls who are in the same, and guys who are in the same stage of life. So shall we get into these tips?
Yes, we should.
Or not tips. Sorry, red flags.
Red flags. Yeah, do not.
I'm thinking of last week's episode. If you didn't listen to it, we were talking about
all
tips.
of these as tips.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Do not.
Wait.
Okay. Here we go.
First one.
First red flag in dating. This person does not have a moral compass. Okay. Specifically from the female mindset. a guy does not keep his word. And a lot of that is backed up by what his values and his morals are. Sorry if you're watching the video, we're gonna probably be looking down because again, we have so many notes, you guys.
Yeah. Want to keep our thoughts organized. And kind of tailored and be also mindful of time.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So number one, red flag. Does he have a moral compass? Does she have a moral compass? One of the things that we want to touch on is, does this person have bad influences in their inner circle? Something that is really important is for anyone to have a good group of people in their life. And when we mean by good, I'm using the quotation marks, right? Good, because anyone can be good. We're meaning people who like speak life into you. And they're not like, if you were to look at like 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says bad company corrupts good character. So if you're around someone who's not influencing you in the most positive way, they're bringing you down, they're leading you into sin, this is going to be a reflection of that person. And so those negative influences, those bad influences are going to really be a huge red flag if you're dating someone. And if they're just kind of like basically like all over the place, when people talk about moral compass, like their foundation of morals and values should be rooted in everything that they do. And if they don't, you can see that in their actions. Something else that kind of goes along with like moral compass is if someone, swears a lot, if they're cussing all the time. Like, I think maybe for some people that's like maybe a personal
bashing people,
maybe that's a personal preference. Like, okay, well, swearing's not that big of a deal or whatever. I would say for us, and for most girls, it's a turn off. At least for me, I think it's
when people swear.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be dating someone who has a sailor mouth. Like that's just like, boy, like go away. Like I don't want that around me. So that's one. And again, this is all kind of just going to be going under like moral compass, right? Because of someone who is rooted in good godly values, they're not going to be, what they say is going to be a reflection of what they believe and what they have inside their hearts.
I just want to reference another verse in Proverbs 13 verse 20. The NLT version, which is my favorite, to be honest, because it's so dumbed down. It just like really brings it back to the basics.
That's the New Living Translation. Mine too.
It says, walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. So your friends do matter. You are your closest like 5 friends. Like when you meet a guy, right? And you want to know who he is outside of his character, just look at the people that he hangs out with.
Yeah.
Are they drinking every weekend? Are they partying every weekend? Are they
what do they do for fun?
Are they constantly just like talking about girls? Like are girls just a topic of conversation?
Right. In a way that it's lustful,
Exactly. And it's just like,
do they respect their parents?
Exactly.
Do they love and honor their parents, their friends, elderly? I mean, or even just the person on the street,
Yeah, for sure.
Respect is such a big one, but that's so good.
Yeah. And it's just like those type of people, like if you read Proverbs, a book of wisdom, those people that are living in their flesh where they just do what they want, like I want to go party, I want to go have fun, I want to go sleep around, I want to like, I'm in charge of my own money, I don't care about giving, like those are the people that are considered fools. And
because they're only trying to feed themselves. And at the end of the day, you don't want someone who is so self-centered, because that means that they don't have God first.
And they're ultimately on the road to destruction, right? Is that the road and the path that you want to be on?
Yeah.
If you're wise, you wouldn't. Right. So just like you would want the person that you're interested in or looking to date or thinking about dating.
Sorry, someone's mowing their lawn.
You can hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it. Okay. Sorry, if anyone's like listening, we leave the window open sometimes just to like, have like fresh air come in. And so I'm just like, someone's mowing their lawn and it's very loud. Anyway, sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. But yeah, just your friends, and you want to make sure that they're being associated with wise people, because wise people are wise. Like they pour life into you, they pour wisdom into you, and they just go about life differently and not giving into the flesh, which ultimately leads to destruction.
And someone who has a good moral compass, that is something that is going to carry on in their life for the long haul in the best way possible, because it's going to be the foundation of their character. You want someone who has good character. Why would you want someone who's like all over the place with their values or morals? Like, no, like, why would someone want to seek that? I mean, we wouldn't.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So anyways, just following up, so we can get into like the next red flag. Two more things about, does this person have he doesn't have a good moral compass? Something, especially for the ladies, and I'm pretty sure some of the girls who are listening to this are probably like, snaps all around. Something that you should beware of is, does this guy like follow a lot of girls online, but also like, you were talking about this other
specific type of a girl.
For a specific type of a girl, yes. So this is something that, like, I want you to touch on this, because we talked about, in her relationship, about how, he doesn't look at other girls when you're with him. You feel very special. You feel very secure because his eyes are on you. So kind of go, and I'll let you like continue on about that. She's smiling because it's a good one. But like for real, like,
finally,
if you you can tell if someone has a good moral compass if they're not like looking at other girls with a lustful heart. And I bring this up because I've noticed in my own experiences where there's certain guys that maybe I've entertained or like talked to or whatever. And if you look at girls, seriously, do this if you're talking to someone or if you're in a relationship, dating, whatever. If this homie follows a bunch of girls who, how would you describe this? Who
are naked.
Basically putting their body on display, or even if they're not even putting their body on display, but they are just carrying themselves not in a very modest,
sensual
way, that is a red flag of how he is probably looking at you. So if he is following all these type of girls on social media who are so consumed with themselves, what makes you think that he's going to honor you if he's looking at other girls in that way? Something I want to reference is Matthew 5:27-28. It says, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So I know for guys, and maybe some guys are listening and they're just like, well, we're just guys, and like, what's wrong with following pretty girls online, or what's wrong with looking at girls if like she's attractive, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what? We're women. We don't completely understand that. But at the end of the day, someone should have self-control and someone should honor you. So if you're looking for someone to date, that is a huge red flag if they're looking at other women in that way. Because guess what? It all starts now. How they look at women and how they look at you now, especially physically, is going to carry on into your future with them.
For sure.
And so if they don't figure that out now, if they don't cut that out now, what makes you think that it's going to just magically change in the future?
For sure. And it's just going to grow. But you just made a point, and I just honestly just forgot it, but it was really good. What did you just say?
I said a lot.
I know. Something about, oh, yes. You said something along the lines of like, oh, the guys probably listening to this will be like, oh my gosh, we're just guys. It's the normal guy thing to do. Yeah, it is a normal guy thing to do for worldly men. There's a difference between worldly men and godly men.
Right.
And so obviously from our first podcast, everything that we're going to talk about, we want it to be rooted in scripture. We want it to be rooted in the Christ that we serve, the God that we serve, the one that I belong to and who my whole life is built around. That is my foundation.
Yeah.
So with these red flags, they're not red flags to people of the world. But if you're a true believer and you are keeping your eyes on Christ and you have the goal of going to heaven, and glorifying God in your walk of life.
And living a life of holiness, holiness and purpose.
We're like, these advice or like these tips and everything that we're talking about, it's for like godly men, right? Like, yes, there's so many worldly men. And honestly, I wouldn't expect these worldly men to be any different because, come on, who are we kidding? They're influenced by the devil. That's who their God is, right? Like, he is the king of this world, right? That's the God of this world, but we don't belong to this world. So, yeah.
The world is going to tell us to do these things because that's what society says.
That's what normal is.
Right. But you guys, all of us, we're not supposed to be following what culture says. Mm-hmm. Why would we want to follow what culture says instead of following what our creator says about us and what our creator intended for us to do and for us to live our lives? No, it's not an easy path to take. But honestly, at the end of the day,
it's the most rewarding.
It's the most rewarding. And I want to look back on my life and say that I lived a life full of purpose and integrity and intention. Mm-hmm. And because I want to live my life in that way, I don't want to be choosing a partner to live the rest of my life with who does not live their life in that same way.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
That was a really long one, you guys. But I think because we just both feel so passionate about someone having good morals and values, because it's the foundation of a person's character, and it's the foundation of also faith. And so, yes.
And if this is someone that, like, we're hoping that you're not dating just for fun, right? Like, we hope that when you're dating, you're at a time in your life where you're ready to get married. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not right away with the person that you meet, but you're intentionally dating. Mm-hmm. And so when you're intentionally dating, you look for characteristics and values of an individual, because that is what is going to come into the marriage. Like, marriage doesn't solve problems. You're not going to stand at the altar and magically all of his issues are like disappearing, you know? Yeah. No, if anything, marriage just highlights and puts a spotlight on people's problems, you know? Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot of work to get through them and whatnot, mm-hmm. but it's so important that you have the small little things figured out, which actually end up being very big things later. You know? So yeah, like, just to bring it back to our point, like, looking at the type of girls that he follows, like, are they all naked? Like, mm-hmm. are they all models?
You can see where the guy's mind is clearly by who he follows.
And the following, right, plays a role in their algorithm, mm-hmm. right? The discovery page.
What is he feeding his soul, his mind?
Yes, exactly.
Where is his energy going?
Exactly.
Other women? Mm-hmm. No, gross. Get out of here. I mean, really though. No, but we say that, like, jokingly, but, like, for real. And we say that because we've learned our lesson.
I've learned the very
hard way, where we give guys attention who don't deserve our attention, because we are trying to do our best and be kind and loving and, you know, whatever. And it's like,
and accepting of their flaws, and you work alongside them. And It's just like, no, that's God's job, not yours.
Right. And we can't change anyone. You cannot change anyone. So if you're specific to the ladies, if you're talking to a guy or you're dating a guy and maybe these are some red flags that you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is literally checking the box for all these red flags that you guys are mentioning, really reflect with yourself. And it's hard to really, you know, set yourself aside from that person. But trust me, it's going to help you in the long run.
To honor God in these situations, and he'll honor you.
Yes, back. 100%. And you know, guys, we're still learning too. But this has been just something that we were talking about last episode, how it's like God will give us the same test over and over again until we learn and we listen and pay attention. And so this is one of those things where it's like God is like, all right, when are you going to get it? When are you going to get it? And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, God, it's finally clicking. Thank you. Even though it took 10 million times.
And you just get back up and you try again.
Yeah. Okay. Red flag number 2.
Red flag number 2. Leads you to sexual sin. Okay?
Stomp, stomp.
Honestly, I wanted to start off with that, and she was just like, I think that's too harsh.
I was like, wait, hold on. Let's just take it back a little bit.
I was like, this one's so important.
No, it is so important. Yeah. But it goes, well, this is why. It was a
transition. Yeah. I can understand the judgment.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. When you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are very clear. Sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, and then it goes on to list a bunch of other ones in like 2 other verses. Mm-hmm. But, okay, wait, let me read it. Idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, selfish ambition, conflict, division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of God. But what I found very interesting about these couple of verses is that the first three, sins all had to do with sexual impurity, like sexual morality, impurity, lustful pleasures. And we were talking about this, is like, why? Well, obviously it makes sense because, like, it's interesting because this book was written so long ago, but humans have not changed whatsoever. Like, the sex culture, the hookup culture that
has always been there.
It's so important. And, like, the world tells you, like, who cares? It's just sex. Like, just please your body. Like, you're thinking too much into it. Like, just whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
No, like, we don't understand the impact and the significance behind why God designed sex to be within the marriage covenant.
Yeah.
You know? And so when you're looking for a guy, and if he's pushing you to sexual sin, huge red flag. If he's pushing you anything besides closer to Christ, out, gone, you know?
Guys, this goes back to the lustfulness talk. If he's only looking at you with lust, he's not honoring you. He's not finding you. He's not really, he's minimizing your worth because he's only looking at you with his eyes and with his wanting to please himself. Maybe please you, but like at the end of the day, it comes back to his own selfish desires.
Yeah, for sure. And if he's willing to go outside of the marriage covenant before getting married, what makes you think that he's not going to go outside of the marriage covenant after he gets married? You know? So that's just an indication to you. Yeah. If he's willing to get you to compromise on crossing that boundary, that is a huge indication that he does not fear God. Because 1 Corinthians 6:18 says, flee from sexual immorality.
Yeah.
Not get as close as you possibly can to the line, or let's test it out and see where we could. No, flee, run, book it, gone. So it's very important that the person that you're considering, like, is he pushing you to crossing a boundary, or is he pushing you closer to Christ? And obviously, because we live in a culture where everyone is so sex-driven, sex is just like so important. No one cares about it anymore. If he is part of that category,
that culture,
that whole culture, he's not godly. Why would you be with someone that is like wanting you to disrespect God with them?
Yeah.
Like, sexual immorality is something that is spoken about so often, and I feel like this could be a whole topic of its own.
But it's also too like another thing is like, if he is so easy, like if it's so easy for him to just like sleep with you, and you also are just like, it's easy for you to just like give it away or whatever, what makes you think that he's not gonna do it with someone else and that he's just gonna go search and find it in another person? Red flag. I wish I had a red flag right now. Actually, I wish I had like a red banner. Just like a huge, like,
just the whole thing.
Big red banner just to like.
I can just picture it.
Yeah, I could. Me waving the flag. Yes, absolutely. But no.
I wonder, okay, such a weird side note, but I wonder where like the history of the word red flag came from.
I don't know. It's probably somewhere on social media.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we like it. I mean, it works.
I mean, it does work. Everyone knows it works.
Red flag. But no, that's so good. Another thing too, we have in our notes talking about sexual sin. You guys, I don't want to like get too much into this, but it's something that we should talk about. Does he, and we're talking specifically about guys because we're women, and so we're talking about red flags for girls to look out in for guys. Does he have issues with pornography? Culture will tell you jokingly that it's okay and that, it's funny. Oh, guys have this problem. Of course they do. Blah, 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 whatever. But at the end of the day, that's not honoring God. That's not honoring himself. Another thing. And he's not going to be honoring you if he is looking lustfully at that type of stuff. Also, why would you want to date someone who's watching that? It's gross.
And I could honestly have a whole other topic about pornography because, like, that was one thing that used to always, and still bothers me, but anyways, it trains a person's, and we talk about like pornography as if it's just like a guy's issue, and it's not. There are a lot of women that have struggled with pornography.
So sorry guys, but
it's not totally targeted towards you, but statistically speaking, there's way more men that look at it than women do. but the thing is, it's training a person's mind to variety, you know? So when you end up marrying someone, they don't have the option of variety. You're with one person for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or you're supposed to be. Like, that's what we're hoping. Divorce is never an option for anyone that's getting married, right? But when you have pornography in the picture, it's just like their brain is so wired to like crave variety because they can
options.
pick whatever they want, you know? So that's another thing that could be brought into a marriage as an issue. And also, I've heard so many stories of people being saved out of pornography, and like so many pastors and even women pastors where like they've spoken to this.
My old pastor back home, one of my old pastors back home, he talked about this publicly, saying that even in his marriage, loves his wife and everything, but that was like an issue that they had in the very beginning of their marriage. And that was something that he was very open and honest with her about. It was hard. They worked through it, but now because it came out into the light and he brought it to her attention, they've worked through it, and now they've been married for like, I don't know, 35 years or something like that.
So like there's redemption in pornography, just like there's redemption in like
anything.
So many other sins, you know?
God can redeem you from anything, you know? But definitely, girls, please, when it comes to sexual sin, like, know your worth.
Do not compromise.
Know your value. Even if you feel in your spirit, just even a little bit, that a guy is looking at you lustfully, or that that he could lead you in a sexual sin, like, just please guard your heart, but also your body. You know, you deserve more than that.
Yep. So I'm just going to read honestly, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12 to 20 is a really good few verses about like sexual immorality and running. But verse 18, run from sexual sin. No other sin so clearly affects the body as this one does. For sexual immorality is a sin against your own body. Don't you realize that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself. For God bought you with a high price, so you must honor God with your body.
Yeah.
And just one other thing is, like, we are just speaking about variety. Like, our culture, even with dating, right? The way we date, it's like it trains you for divorce, honestly, because it's just like you date someone and it's just like you date them for an X amount of time, and then your feelings change, so then you break up with them. And then you're on to the next thing.
And especially with like dating apps, where there's like a plethora of options. It's like, okay, well, like I'm dating someone and they are really great and it seems really good. But then, yeah, like you said, it's like for a little while, it seems to be going well. And then all of a sudden, maybe someone else pops up and then that other new option seems more enticing.
And how do we know that they're not like entertaining multiple people at the same time, right? Like if you're, I don't know, it's just, yeah.
Maybe we'll do another episode on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
don't compromise. And don't be interested in someone that is willing to compromise, because that just speaks of their character. And there's another verse, many other verses, I think it's in Ephesians, but the man is supposed to lead you. And if he can't lead you while you're dating closer to Christ, what makes you think that he's capable of leading a whole family closer to Christ?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, one good thing too that I also thought about the other day when we were like trying to, prepare for this is, a lot of people, not every guy maybe, but some guys, most guys want to be dads. Would you want this person to be the father of your children? That sounds so dramatic, but it's so true. So it's like, would you want this type of person to be someone that like, say for instance, like I had a daughter, would I want this person that I'm talking to be someone that my future children or my daughter date? No. I mean, well, I'm saying no to like these like red flags. Yeah, these red flags, but it's just like, think about it in that way. Like, if this person wants kids, look at his actions. Do you think that he's going to be able to lead his children to do these same things?
And if that's the example that your kids have, you're setting your kids up for a very terrible and hard life. Why would you want someone in the household that sets an example for your children to not follow?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh man,
it's a lot of pressure on a man. You guys are supposed to lead us properly.
I know.
But yeah, if he can't lead you properly closer to Christ while you're dating or whether in the conversation, especially when it comes to sexual like sin.
Hit the road.
Hit the
Jack.
road. See you later.
Okay, third red flag. Poor communication.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ladies, I know you're probably all like clapping right now because you're like, yes, let's talk about communication. You know what? For me, communication is like my number one when it comes to like the strengths finders. And we talked about this, like the different like strengths that we have. Communication is like number one on my list. I went to school for communication. My degree is in mass communication. So I'm really big on this, which is why I'm kind of like leading the conversation on poor communication. But does this person follow through? How he communicates says a lot about his character and the person he is. When a person has poor communication, here's some issues that could come up: lack of trust, unresolved issues, not in tune with their emotions, and could create misunderstandings, whether in the present, in the future. And so that's why communication is just so crucial, because it really determines the health and the longevity of a relationship. So even if you're just like seeing someone, going on dates, whatever, just talking to them, really look at how they're communicating, because how they set the tone now is going to be how it is in the future. Unless they were to change and they communicate that and say, hey, I'm going to be better about communicating, that would be maybe the only instance where I would say, sure, if you feel that you can trust this person and that they're speaking the truth, see give them a chance. But if someone is constantly being inconsistent with communication, you need to move on. Because
if
again,
he cares for you, he should communicate properly.
Yes. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. But yes,
he should value your time.
Yeah, good communication shows that he values you, that again, he knows your worth, you're prioritized. And this is, I don't want anyone to think that this is also like we're saying, okay, if he has good communication, it's going to be all, all good. Someone could still communicate with you and say, hey, like, I think you're great, but like, maybe we should just be friends, or maybe we shouldn't pursue anything or whatever. That's, at the end of the day, that's still good communication.
And it's honesty.
Yes.
Integrity. Like you're being open, like you're on the same page. Because when it's poor communication, like you have one person here where they're under this mindset, or they think that thing is happening.
Right.
And this other person here who has a completely different thought in his mind, or her mind. Right. We'll go with his mind. And there's no communication being like, hey, this is how I feel. It's like
Right.
You're allowing resentment. You're allowing problems.
Right.
You're allowing insecurities to grow.
Right.
So yeah, and it's just, I think that kind of takes it back to like love. Obviously, love is a very scary word for a lot of people in the dating world. Yeah. But I don't get scared of it, because like the whole Bible is about love. The work
God is love.
God is love. The work that the Lord Jesus did on the cross is love, And so we are, even if I was to meet someone and we went on a couple dates and I was just like, you know what, I'm not feeling it. We have two different personalities, or there's something about him that I don't like. I'm not going to keep that in and be like, you know what?
Out of respect for him, I would want to tell him, so he knows that I'm not stringing him along.
Exactly. And just like being open and honest about where you stand, and be like, listen, this is how I felt. I didn't like this and this and this. I think this is what was holding me back from like being interested in you. Yeah. I'm not interested in you, but I just wanted to tell you out of love for you.
So that, and respect and honor.
Exactly. And that so you can learn and maybe take what I say and
or just take
on it and make changes, so that he's not constantly failing.
Or just take it for what it is and say, okay, move on, But I think I feel, and I know this because I've been through this personally, I feel for girls, because I feel as girls, we are probably better communicators than men at times. And so we will wait around for a response and communication from a guy, and we're constantly waiting. Then we start overthinking, and we're only doing ourselves a disservice. And so guys, if you're listening to this, like, we know sometimes communication can be hard. Why does this happen? Why does that? Y'all see this thumbs up that just came up?
There's like weird thumbs up so emojis weird that go up when you thumbs up
I
in real
know.
life.
Anyway. But thumbs down for poor communication. Red flag. Okay.
I wonder if they can notice that about everything.
Yes. But wrapping that up, good communicate. Here's the pros. When you have good communication, it increases chances of emotional intimacy, trust and transparency, conflict resolution, and relationship satisfaction. How he treats you with his words, his communication, but also with his actions, which is leading into our fourth red flag. Take it away.
A lot of talk and no walk. You know, so if there's a lot of words, but none of those words are put into action, can't trust it. Move on.
Girls, guys can say things all day long, things that you want to hear, but unless it's backed up by their actions,
and I mean,
the words don't mean anything.
For sure. And I mean, yeah, there's a reason why, like, what was the reason?
Oh, we're talking
words.
Words don't aligning with their actions.
No, there's like this cliche saying is just like actions are louder than words.
Does he practice what he preach?
Well, sure. There's so many sayings.
There's so many,
and it's just like also beware because it's funny because in my current experience, it was like one of the conversations was just like, oh well, we're in the honeymoon phase, and it's just like we have to be careful because like people do say everything, like people will act a certain way and talk a certain way in the very beginning, you know, just to impress the person.
And especially with guys, they will do they're going to put, I think with anyone, girls and guys, we try to put our best foot forward in the very beginning, obviously. But guys especially, I heard this like in some other podcast, but guys will especially put their best foot forward and they're going to show their best selves in the beginning. But consistency with their actions is going to really show you their character and who they really are.
Exactly. And yeah, a lot of talk, no walk. And that's not just for treating you and stuff, but like, what are his ambitions like? What are his goals? What does he aspire to do with his life? What are his purposes? Like, there's so many people that are like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. But it's just like, you look at their day to day and there's no effort being put into this future that they expect for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not, or for example, yes, I want to get closer to the Lord and I want to start going to church. I want to do all of these things, yada, yada, yada. And it's just like, okay, let's see it. And then there's nothing, you know? So you also have to keep that in mind because this pattern of just like saying what you want to hear, but no action,
no follow through,
no follow up. It's emotional manipulation because it's keeping you under this impression that this person is going to eventually
come around,
or
change,
perform, and they don't. So that's a huge red flag for me when like people talk and then there's no action. And one of the reasons I'm happy where I am because like I see. It's not just words. It's finally actions, and there's
his words mean more because he follows through with his actions.
And I can respect him as a man, and I am comfortable with him like leading. You know, I can trust that he's leading me in the right way. Obviously, there's a difference between being submissive in a marriage versus being submissive in dating
relationship.
There's huge differences, but that doesn't mean that we aren't starting to practice it now, you know, so that I can see, is he capable of it? I give you just a little bit, you show me you're capable of doing well with it. Test you a little bit more, you know?
Right.
Just baby steps, but.
Right. And it goes both ways. Like, I know, Domy, oh no! We're falling off the bed. Domy knows that I have a certain feeling about the word submission.
Oh my gosh, this one. Y'all hates it.
Y'all pray for me. I know. Maybe that's a whole other like topic of discussion for another time. But I think, yes, I know maybe some girls would be like, a guy to lead, whatever. Yes, you want a guy to pursue you. I think I think both together pursue each other, but especially in the beginning, you should let the guy lead you. So just beware of his actions, you guys. Okay. everything that we just talked about, if his words don't align with his actions, red flag, red flag.
And you just said a comment about pursuing. Like, this is it could be on another topic as well, but just one other thing is just like, before he's pursuing you and before you're pursuing him, you guys both need to be pursuing Christ, you know? And I think that's one thing that I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because it's so important, because if they're pursuing Christ and they're following the living word of God, then they're pursuing me the right way. You know, they're respecting God, they're fearing God, they're not making me cross any disrespectful boundaries that would make like me fall into sin, you know.
Right.
There's just so much could be spoken to that, but just that part.
Word to the wise. All right, and last but certainly not least, red flag number 5.
Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Oh no, go back.
Rewind. When we're talking about words not aligning with your actions, if he struggles to make and keep commitments, even if it's small, just walk very carefully.
Yeah.
Because if he isn't capable of
following through
the small things,
what makes you think he's gonna follow through with the big things?
Exactly. And one thing I heard in the sermon last week, commitment is more important than chemistry. Keep that in mind.
That is so good.
So good. Because it's not the chemistry that is going to help you when your 1 week baby is screaming. You know? Chemistry is not going to do anything. It's not going to be commitment when, like, all right, this could be a little too much, but, like, what if you can't have sex after you have a pregnancy, you know? Like, can I trust that he's going to be committed to me? Am I trusting that he's not going and watching all these
porn,
other sites and
right,
looking
or
at
whatever?
girls? Like, is the chemistry going to kick in there, or is the commitment going to kick in there?
Yeah.
You know? So just making sure that he's able to respect and keep the commitments that he says to you.
Yes.
That's super important.
Even the little ones, you guys, because those matter.
Of course. Because it's little things here and there now before you're dating. But when you get married, your whole life changes. Like, your finances are tied in together. You live together. Like,
you're doing life together.
You are one person. There's kids involved. Like,
think about your mental health too. Like, whenever someone, this is obviously we're talking about dating, but just in anything, right? An example, when you're hanging out with friends and your friend constantly is like bailing on you, or they're like changing plans, or whatever.
You don't trust them.
How does that? Yeah, you don't trust them, and how do you think that makes you feel? So why would you want to date someone who doesn't maintain the consistency there with their commitments? Red flag.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Now red flag number 5. Okay. Poor conflict resolution. How do they handle conflict? How do they handle their emotions, and specifically emotions that are, I guess, like on the negative side? So for instance, how do they handle anger, right? When they're angry, how do they handle that? Are they yelling at you? Are they raising their voice with you? Are they manipulating you to make you feel bad? Are they gaslighting you?
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
It's like we know something.
So crazy. Clearly we've been through something.
Is he like, when you're arguing or when you're in a conflict, is he purposely saying things that he knows will hurt you because he studied you so well? So he knows how to
push your red buttons.
Exactly.
And is he doing it on purpose? Sometimes we're totally, we've done this before in our lives. We do it unintentionally, but does he do it intentionally where he's trying to hurt you? Red flag.
Yeah, for sure. And poor conflict resolution. Like, it's just like, are they wanting to serve you in that situation and try to understand your point of view, be understanding as to why you think the way you think or why you felt, not downplaying what you're feeling and being like, you know what, that's such a petty thing to get mad about. I don't know why you would even bring that up. Like, are they belittling what you're feeling? Right. Even if they think it's stupid, it might be stupid. A lot of the times I get upset about stupid things,
The right guy is going to honor how you feel, every emotion.
Like, doesn't run away from conflict resolution.
Right. Runs towards it.
And it was something that we also spoke about. Okay, so we've been attending
Shout out to Mariners Church. We love you.
Yes. So there's a church here in Orange County, and they've been studying the Song of Solomon. And it's pretty cool because I've never thought about the Song of Solomon, even though I knew there was like one weird verse about like breasts since I was like a young kid.
Me too. I was like, what is going on in the Bible?
So I've always avoided that book. But now they're doing like a
whole series.
A whole series.
6-week series, yeah.
It's pretty cool because the whole book covers like physical attraction, pursuing, dating, sex and marriage, conflict resolution, and then I forget what the last one is.
I don't know.
But one point that we made last week, what were we just talking about?
We were talking about, conflict resolution was our last red flag.
There's a difference between, I think they said bulls.
Whoa, there's balloons now.
What the heck?
What is going on? I feel like we were touching our face in the last 2 episodes, and today it's
weird.
Just popping off. Anyways, happy birthday to anybody's birthday. He's listening because there's balloons. What's so random? Anyway,
poor conflict resolution. There's a difference between the way bulls and cows react to storms. Cows run away from the storm, which actually ends up getting them to be in the storm longer because the storm catches up to them and they're just like in it. Versus bulls, they run towards the storm and they actually it's a shorter duration because they go right through it.
Literally head on.
You know? So in a healthy relationship, the person that you're with, when there's something that is hurting you or you feel hurt or there's a certain conflict that arises, conflict resolution is a very important part because you're never going to run away from problems. But you also don't want someone that runs away from problems. You want someone that is able to sit there and listen to your feelings and be empathetic, even if they don't agree with why you're upset, but they still care about you and your feelings. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm sorry that this is how you feel, you know? So it's just a healthy way to approach it. Or do they get angry at you and make you feel stupid?
Make you feel bad. Make you feel like your feelings are invalid.
Exactly. And then you start being like, you know what? That was dumb of me. Like, why would I? So it's just like throwing yourself aside for making them feel better.
Yeah. So we're going to just recap just on those red flags again, if you wanted to hear them. First red flag, he does not have a moral compass. Second one,
moral compass, leads you to sexual sin.
Third one, poor communication.
Words don't align with his actions.
And then last, poor conflict resolution. So I feel like we obviously we feel a certain way about all these red flags because we've experienced these red flags. And so we just really want this to be also encouraging to people where it's like, yes, this is a lot of heavy negative stuff that we were just like, these red flags, boom, boom, boom. But also, it's a good thing to know what these red flags are. So then as you are dating and as you are in a dating relationship or whatever, you know what to look out for. Because for me, to be completely honest, this is another episode that we can do. But y'all, I was never really interested in dating for a lot of my 20s because of a relationship that I had when I was 20 that ended very badly. And so now being a 30-year-old, there's all these red flags now that I'm well full aware of. And now I can go into this dating world stronger because I'm aware of what they are. And so these are really supposed to be helpful for you to be able to know what they are. And then whenever you are out there, it's almost like, you know, when someone says like, you know, when you go out to battle, you want to make sure that you're like, you know, you have the armor of God on or whatever. It's same. Yeah, same thing. You want to have this armor, I guess, on as you're in the dating world, because y'all, it's ghetto out here. It's real ghetto. Okay,
you gotta be prepared.
You have to be prepared. Guard your heart. Prepare yourself, because it is. There's a lot of risk in being vulnerable and being in the dating world. And so, what better way to be in the dating world if you're going to be dating than to be fully prepared for what's out there,
for sure,
and to really, you know, not even mess with people who are not worth your time and who are going to, you know, if they're not honoring you and if they're not going to honor you and be someone who you want to date, then why waste your time?
Yeah. And I think a good summary altogether, you want someone that's relentlessly following Jesus, you know, because relentlessly following Jesus covers a multitude of sins.
Mm-hmm.
And so not just someone that says he's a believer, or someone that just goes to church, and some, like you can tell by someone's actions and conducts, his behaviors, the way he speaks, the way he approaches his problems, who his friends are, where he spends his time, what he spends his money on. There's so many things that you can look at that can tell you about a person if they're following Jesus relentlessly.
Yeah.
Because if he has the Bible as his standard, you're good. You're going to live a good life.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be in good hands. Mm-hmm. Should we go on to our power verse to wrap things up?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Today's power verse is Proverbs 4:23. Are you there already, or should I go there?
I'm already 4:23. I'm here.
Okay. Read it.
Guard your heart above all else. Whoa. Okay. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life.
Mm-hmm. So kind of what we were saying earlier is like, we don't want people to be fearful and be like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of red flags that you guys mentioned. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, look at it like in a good way. These are good things that you should be aware of and know about, so that you can guard your heart. I think a lot of times in our culture right now, especially like dating online, is that we just want to have a connection with someone, and so we will just continue to go on dates, or we'll give the person the benefit of the doubt even if they have these red flags. And like Jimmy was saying earlier, it's like we should not compromise our morals and our values. And also, yeah, at the end of the day, you need to guard your heart, because you're only going to give yourself more heartbreak later if you are just dismissing these red flags.
For sure. And just one other verse, Jeremiah 17 verse 9. The human heart is the most deceitful of all things, and desperately wicked. Who really knows how bad it is? So don't think with your heart. Your heart is going to deceive you. There's so many times where we follow our heart, and the world tells you to follow your heart and do what your heart makes you happy. But like, you can't trust your heart. You can't trust your emotions. Mm-hmm. And when you really like someone, you tend to like just put a blind eye on all of these like red flags, know? So just when just be diligent, be attentive to these red flags, see how they are, compare it to what the Bible says. Are they following what the Bible says a man should be like, know? Does he follow that standard of what a godly man, godly husband is to follow? And is he following Christ relentlessly? Like,
one last thing that I want to say too, this really helped me, you guys. I was seeing a therapist for a good chunk of last year, and I miss her. She's back home, but I'll probably see her soon when I do go back again. She had told me, specifically because actually Domy and I both have ADHD. People with ADHD, we can be very emotional. And something that I was doing is I was putting, as she would say, too much of my heart into a lot of things. And that could be in dating or really with anything. And so she kind of she was like, if there's like a circle and, I would just split it in half, or should not split in half. She goes, really, it should be split in half, where you are thinking with your head, but then also you're feeling with your heart. And she goes, and right now with what, everything that I was going through last year, she said, you're thinking so much more with your heart that there's only just a little sliver here in this little pie chart that you're thinking logically, you're thinking with your head. She's like, so let's try to refocus where our mind is, and also be careful. The heart can lead you, lead you to destruction. The heart can lead you to,
it's deceitful.
Yeah, it's deceitful. So like, you need to just beware. She was telling me, she's like, just beware, like how we're back to our power verse, guard your heart when you are feeling all these emotions, because there's no balance. There's no balance. So definitely, if you feel like, oh my gosh, like my heart, like I'm feeling all these things or whatever, just check in with yourself, please. I've been doing this very recently, and I've been trying to get something that I've been practicing more because I'm just now more aware of it. I try to practice and say, okay, hold on, head and heart, we good? Like, are we good? Because sometimes,
are we aligned?
Yeah, are we aligned? Because sometimes my heart can just be like, whoosh, just taking over, and my brain's over here like, hey girl, like where are you at? Like, don't forget about me. They go hand in hand, and they should go hand in hand. Your head and your heart, but you can't let the heart just run over. Yeah, you can't let the heart just like lead completely. You need to also think logically, and for me personally, that can be really challenging.
For sure. But
so hope this was helpful.
Yes.
Hope this was helpful. I know this has been healing for me.
It's therapeutic talking about it.
Very therapeutic, very healing to like get this out. So you guys wanted us to talk about relationships. I feel like we really set the tone for like maybe what some other topics that we can discuss when it comes to the relationships realm, which we'll also discuss other topics outside of dating. Yeah. But we're just
giving the people what they want.
We're giving the people what they want. And we're also in that age where it's at the forefront of our lives right now.
And it's the most important decision you will ever make, who you spend the rest of your life with. So you want to make sure you're wise about it.
Yeah. So, we're praying for her relationship, my future relationship, y'all's relationship. They're hard, but guess what? God's got you.
Keep him in the middle, and he'll take care of it all.
Yeah, if you got God in the middle of everything that you do, you're going to be okay. And so don't let this be a fearful thing where you walk out of this and be, man, ooh, red flags. No, you're empowered to know, ooh, red flags. Let's go. Now I know how to deal with what's ahead of me. So
good.
All right, guys. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Yes.
And we'll catch you next time.
Love y'all.
Bye.
See ya.